Well, you know, Stryper was and is still to this day a band that strived for greatness, that strived for perfection, that strived for uniqueness. The scene in Hollywood, Sunset and Santa Monica, it was pretty amazing. And I was unfortunate or fortunate, depending upon how you look at it. I look at it as fortunate, of course, to be a part of that at a very young age. I hung out with my brother. He is 3 years older than me. So at that time, you know, I was going down to Hollywood when I was 15 years old. I always looked older, so people thought I was maybe 18, 19, 20 years old. But I was 15, and I was going to see all the bands of the past, you know. One of my favorite bands to see time and time again at the Starwood when it was still open was Yesterday and Today, who now goes by Y&T. And, you know, I saw Quiet Riot and Smile and oh gosh, there were just so many great bands. I wound up actually, you know, seeing Motley Crue right before they broke. It was a very special time. I just remember that electric feeling, you know. It was a special excitement, man, in the air when you'd go down there. There were people everywhere, there to have fun, there to enjoy the music, and great bands everywhere. You could go to Gazzarri's and see Rat or Stryper. Go down the road, walk down the road to the Whiskey and see Wasp, and then go to the Troubadour, one street over, and in walking distance, and see Motley Crue. You know, so it was crazy, man. It was an incredible time and explosive time in rock/metal, and I was there for it and a part of that. So I feel very honored and blessed that I was able to be a part of that scene at that time. The experience of actually being there during that time, it was basically for me, roughly from like 1978, mostly, 78 to 83. That was the time that I was in it, you know, and there pretty much every weekend. We were a house band at Gazzarri's in the Troubadour, and we played there constantly. I tell you, it was just unbelievable. It was just for a kid my age, a young musician, aspiring musician. It was just it was really my building blocks. It was my foundation for the house that I was building as an artist, you know, and that I don't think I'd be who I am today, sitting here in this chair, if it wasn't for that time, you know, because a lot of bands don't get to experience that. You know, bands that are coming up and coming right now that are rock or metal influenced, they're not part of that scene because that scene isn't, it's not there anymore. You know, Gazzarri's isn't even there. Starwood was torn down. It's just those days are gone. I think, sadly, probably forever. You know, there will be other scenes that come about and take off, but that hard rock, metal, hair, whatever you want to call it, that was the time for it. You know, mid '70s to mid '80s. Stryper got signed in 1984. Our first album, The Yellow and Black Attack, came out in July of '84. We were actually talking to the label Enigma in '83, submitting demos and whatnot, but we officially signed on the dotted line in 1984, early. It was difficult, but when 1991, 92 came in, and then Nirvana came on the scene with such a force, obviously it changed the whole music industry, you know. A lot of bands broke up and stopped because of that, because the hair metal music wasn't getting airplay. It was difficult to get shows. to get offers, and everything changed. I think for any band from the 80s. There were a select few that continued on, but not many. So, you know, it was one of those, I was a big fan, believe it or not, of Nirvana. When they came on the scene, I bought their album and I took it into rehearsal before we broke up and I played it for the guys. I'm like, man, check this out, you know? This is cool, huh? And they were all, oh, I guess, you know? But I remember loving that and kind of moving with the times. And I tend to do that. Like I'm one of those guys that listens to modern radio and it'll go out and buy a new album from a new band and love it. Because I like how music changes. I like how production changes. I like to try to stay up on that. You know, if you limit yourself just to the 80s metal, you know, it's funny because some of the fans, you know, you go on Facebook and stuff and it's like, is it metal? Is it heavy? You know, that's all you hear. And it's like, well, if it's not, does that mean it's bad? It's all about the song to me, man. If you have a great song, whether it's metal or jazz or pop or rock or country or whatever, it's a great song. You can't deny that.